Have you ever experienced this feeling when you and her are becoming closer, yet suddenly she grows distant and cold? The very moment you believe the two of you are reaching the deepest connection is the moment she pulls away. It feels like a door that had just opened suddenly slams shut, leaving you confused and even hurt. You think she has lost interest or stopped loving you. But the truth is often the opposite of what you see. When a woman begins to withdraw, it doesn't always mean her feelings are fading. In fact, many times it's when her emotions are growing stronger that fear rises within her. The more powerful the attraction, the more she feels she's losing control. This paradox leaves many men unable to understand why warmth suddenly turns into coldness. Imagine walking in the dark, when a blinding light suddenly flashes before you. It's captivating, yet overwhelming. You want to move toward it, but at the same time, you're afraid it might blind you and make you lose your way. For a woman, feeling too much love works in the same way. It's both magnetic and frightening. That's why she steps back, not because she doesn't want you, but because she wants you so much her heart isn't ready to handle it. How many times have you walked away, believing silence meant the end? Have you ever considered that silence might just be a temporary shield? A woman who loves deeply rarely gives her whole heart all at once. She fears that if she opens up too quickly, she will be hurt. The coldness you see on the outside is often her way of protecting her inner safety. Once you see this clearly, you'll realize that her withdrawal can actually be proof she feels more than you imagined. A woman who has no feelings won't bother sending mixed signals. She won't act cold or create confusion. Only a woman who still desires, who still cares, fights within herself between moving closer or stepping back. This puts you in a difficult position, but also offers an opportunity to understand love more deeply, instead of rushing to conclude that silence equals rejection. Ask yourself, could this distance be her unspoken way of saying her emotions are too strong, too overwhelming for her to control? If her pulling away is not a sign of an ending, then what is it really trying to tell you? The fear of getting too close. There is a truth many men overlook for women. The closer they get, the more they feel a loss of control. The more she lets her heart move towards someone, the more vulnerable she feels. Closeness is not just joy. It is also a trade-off, trading away her independence, her self-control, and the walls of protection she has spent years building. Imagine climbing a high mountain. At the base, every step feels safe and steady. But the higher you climb, the shakier your steps become. Not because you are weaker, but because one slip could send you falling into the abyss. For women, the deeper they go into a relationship, the more they sense how easily their hearts could break. This is why many men are caught off guard. They think when she starts pulling back, it must mean she is losing interest. But the truth is the opposite. She pulls away not because her feelings are fading, but because they are becoming too strong. When her heart beats too intensely, fear rises alongside it. Fear of losing balance, fear of losing herself, fear that this love could reopen the pain she once lived through. A woman who has been hurt before feels this even more strongly. Old memories remind her that loving deeply comes with great risk. So even as her heart pushes her closer to you, her mind pulls her back. And that is why you see mixed signals: warmth one day, distance the next. If you only look at her actions on the surface, you will rush to conclude that she has stopped caring. But if you look deeper, you will see that her withdrawal is actually proof she feels more than you realized. This paradox is part of human emotion when the heart overflows. The mind steps back to create safety. And this is where your challenge begins at a book. Because when she steps back, it is not only to protect herself, it is also to observe you. She wants to see how you respond to this change. Will you panic, cling tighter and chase her? Or will you remain steady, showing her that you are not easily shaken by waves of emotion? At that moment, distance becomes more than fear. It becomes a mirror reflecting your inner strength. And the way you respond will decide whether she dares to move closer again. The test of a man's strength. When a woman pulls away, most men assume it is a sign of the end. But the truth is often more complex. For many women, creating distance is not always a conscious choice. It is often an unconscious reaction, a natural test of instinct rather than a game meant to tease or manipulate you. In that moment, she is seeking an answer to one question: are you strong enough to remain steady, not strong in terms of muscles or appearances, but in terms of inner strength? When her warmth shifts into silence, your reaction reveals more than any promise you could ever make. If you panic, chase after her, flood her with messages, or try desperately to pull her back, it shows a lack of self-control. If you choose anger, blame, or walk away in frustration, you are still exposing weakness, just in a different form. Both responses send the same message: you are not steady enough to handle change. A truly attractive man does not prove his value with words. He lets his actions and his composure speak for themselves. When she steps back, you continue with your rhythm. You work, you take care of yourself, you pursue your goals. You do not allow her distance to dismantle the balance in your life. That alone is the strongest signal you can send. Ask yourself honestly in these moments: do you remain calm, or do you let fear and insecurity take over? Her pulling away is not only distance, it is a mirror reflecting your inner world. It reveals either your steadiness or your fragility, perhaps more clearly than you have ever realized. For her, this pause may feel like a test, but for you, it can become an opportunity. An opportunity to prove you are not a man who easily crumbles under someone else's emotions. An opportunity to show that your presence in her life is not dependent on her closeness or her withdrawal, but on the firm choice you make for yourself. If you embrace this moment, her pulling away does not mark the end. Instead, it can be the beginning of deeper respect, renewed trust, and a stronger attraction toward you. The necessary pause. There is a familiar image in nature that explains this better than anything else. Waves at sea often pull back before they crash against the shore with full force. That retreat is not to disappear, but to return with greater strength. A woman's feelings work in much the same way. When she suddenly creates distance, it does not mean love is fading. Often, it is simply her way of resetting her emotions. Many men, when faced with a woman pulling away, quickly assume everything is over. But they fail to see that a woman's heart operates on a different rhythm. The more intense the emotions, the more she needs a pause to breathe. It is her way of regulating her heartbeat, of balancing her mind and her feelings, to make sure what she is experiencing is real and trustworthy. The problem is that most men lack the patience to understand this. Faced with silence, they rush in to fill the gap with messages, constant calls, or accusations. This reaction only makes her feel more suffocated, because the very space she needs to regain balance is being invaded. Do you have the patience to allow that pause, or do you rush in and ruin it with your own anxiety? This question matters because it reflects not only your understanding of women, but also your own level of emotional maturity. What many men overlook is that sometimes she pulls back not to forget you, but to remember you. When distance is created, emotions have the chance to renew themselves. In that space, she can realize just how much your presence means, and her heart often finds its way back with even greater longing. That is why the pause is not working against you, it is working for you. It gives her room to breathe, to ask herself how important you truly are. And if you have the patience not to interfere in that process, the outcome is often her return with stronger feelings, just like the wave that crashes harder after pulling away. The important lesson here is to trust the pause. Do not turn it into a battlefield for your insecurities. Let it serve its purpose to rebalance her emotions and to refresh the love she feels. And because her emotions are often so powerful, love for her is never just sweetness and joy. It always carries risk, where every step closer is also a step into the trembling fear of the heart. Attraction and risk. Attraction in love is not only a sweet gift, but also a hidden challenge. Men usually see attraction as an opportunity. When they meet a woman who makes their heart race, they view it as a signal to move forward, to pursue, to conquer. But for women, powerful attraction comes with a different perspective. It is not just joy, it is also danger. The stronger the desire, the greater the risk. Think about how differently men and women view a game of chance. Men often focus on the prize, while women focus on the risk of loss. When emotions rise strongly, a woman's heart beats faster not only with happiness but also with fear. Fear of giving too much. Fear that by revealing all of her vulnerability, she will be left exposed. Fear that what she is building could collapse in a single moment. This is why many women, even when they are clearly drawn to a man, still create distance. On the surface, it may look like avoidance, but in reality, it is an act of testing. She is silently asking herself, are you a safe place for her emotions? Or are you a hidden danger that could cause her to fall apart? Men often respond with confusion. If she likes me, why is she distant? That question comes from seeing attraction as only positive. But women feel both sides of it, the excitement and the fear. For them, deep love is not always joy. It also means putting their heart at risk. So the distance she creates is not to reject you, but to observe you. That space becomes a tool, a silent test, to see how you respond when she is no longer easy to reach. If you panic, if you scramble to prove yourself, if you try endlessly to pull her closer, it confirms that you are not steady enough to be her safe place. But if you remain calm, living at your own rhythm, she sees the stability she has been searching for. For women, the stronger the attraction, the greater the need for protection. She needs to know that by giving herself to this connection, her heart will not be dismissed or abandoned. And to find that answer, she creates distance, like holding up a mirror, to see your truest self in the most natural reaction. Distance as a mirror. When a woman creates distance, most men only see silence and assume her feelings have ended. But that distance is not meant to punish you, nor is it a game of manipulation. It is more like a mirror that never judges but quietly reflects who you truly are in your most vulnerable moment. That distance exposes how you really face emotions. It reveals the kind of man you are when her constant attention and affection are no longer there. Do you immediately panic, desperately chasing reassurance? Do you fall into bitter silence, showing anger and resentment, or can you remain steady, calm, and unshaken by the turbulence outside in that mirror. Your image becomes clearer than any words you could ever say. Words can be rehearsed, promises can be staged, but your natural reaction in the pause between you is the truth that cannot be hidden. Distance is where she sees the strength or weakness you carry inside. Ask yourself honestly in that mirror, are you the man who remains calm, or the man consumed by fear? It is in this very moment that she discovers whether you are someone she can trust, or someone whose steadiness was only a surface act. Many men treat distance like an enemy, trying to break it down as quickly as possible. But distance is not against you. It simply shines a light so both of you can see the truth. If you remain steady, the gap will close naturally. If you lose control, the gap will widen until there is nothing left to hold on to. And that is the key. Distance is not an ending. It is an opportunity to reveal who you really are. If you are strong enough to stand firm in the silence, she will step closer again. If you fall apart, that distance becomes a chasm that grows wider each day. For a woman, distance is more than pulling back. It is her way of holding up a mirror to see clearly who stands before her. For you, it is also the chance to prove that the reflection she sees is of a man who is trustworthy, steady, and worthy of her deepest trust. Principles for holding your value. In relationships, there are moments when a man is most likely to lose himself. It happens when a woman pulls away, when she creates distance and leaves him with uncertainty. Many men, out of fear of losing her, start chasing and trying to prove themselves at all costs. But here lies the paradox in those very moments. The more you chase, the more you erase your true value. A man's real attraction does not come from desperate pursuit. It comes from the ability to hold his value no matter the circumstance. There are 5 principles that help you maintain this strength. First, do not chase. Running after a woman when she steps back only places you in a weaker position. It does not communicate love, but fear. A woman needs to feel that you are an anchor, not someone trembling at the thought of losing her attention. When you stop chasing, you send a powerful message: you know your worth, and your love is not a plea for validation. Second, keep living your life. Many men, when faced with distance, put everything on hold: work, passions, friendships, just to focus entirely on her. But the more you do that, the more you turn yourself into an empty shell without her presence. An attractive man is one who has his own world, his own goals, his own passions, and a life that continues fully whether she is there or not. That is what earns her respect and draws her back. Third, stay calm. Women watch how you react when things do not go your way. If you panic, explode, or pressure her, you reveal immaturity. But if you remain composed, acting naturally, without dramatizing the situation, you prove that you are a man who has control over himself. Fourth, set boundaries. Calmness does not mean unconditional acceptance. If her distance turns into disrespect or neglect, you must be clear about your limits. A confident, firm statement can protect your dignity without becoming an argument. By setting boundaries, you not only protect yourself but also show that you are a man who knows his value. Fifth, be willing to let go. This is the hardest principle, but also the strongest. A truly free man is not chained by the fear of loss. If she continues to drift away, you know your life will still move forward, and you will not collapse because of one relationship. When you are willing to let go, you paradoxically become more attractive, because that inner freedom shows her that you cannot be easily controlled or shaken. The deeper philosophy here is this: inner freedom is the foundation of true attraction. You do not keep a woman by clinging to her, but by standing firm even when you let go. A man's real strength is not in controlling others, but in mastering himself. And it is this steadiness that speaks the loudest. It shows that you are not living for approval, but for the values you choose. When a woman sees that calmness and strength, she realizes that being with you means having not just a lover, but a safe harbor. The power of calm. There are times when the strongest reaction a man can give is not in his words or actions, but in his calmness. Intense moments, when she pulls away, when the atmosphere feels heavy, it is often your choice not to react impulsively that sends the clearest signal of your true strength. Picture a mountain standing firm in the middle of a storm. Winds rage, rain pours, thunder shakes the sky. Yet the mountain does not move. It does not need to prove itself. It does not need to shout or resist. Its silence is the loudest declaration of its strength, unshaken and immovable. Women sense this calmness more clearly than any promise you could make. When she observes you in moments of distance, what makes her heart feel safe is not words like "I'll never leave you" or "I promise I'll always be here." What convinces her is seeing you continue your life as normal, without panic, without anger, without trying to force her closer. Calmness is not indifference. It does not mean you do not care. It is the ability to control your inner world, to remain steady without being pulled into someone else's emotions. This steadiness is what allows a woman to feel that if she moves closer, her heart will be safe. On the other hand, if you lose your composure, if you overreact, she will see that you cannot maintain balance even in small trials. And if you cannot control yourself, how could she trust you to protect the relationship against bigger storms? The lesson is this: in moments of silence, the strongest reaction is sometimes no reaction at all. That calm presence is not emptiness. It is the steady assurance that you are not lost, not shaken, not thrown off course. And from that calmness, you begin to see the deeper meaning behind her pushing you away. It is not rejection, but an opportunity to prove that you are the mountain standing firm in the storm, the place she can trust to return to. The lesson behind being pushed away. Looking back at the entire journey, you begin to see a simple truth: when a woman pushes you away, it is not the end. It is more like a natural cycle in love, where every moment of distance carries a message, a lesson, and an opportunity for both of you to understand each other more deeply. In love, there is always a loop of opposites: desire and fear, closeness and distance, test and trust. The more she desires you, the more fear she feels. The closer she gets, the more that fear urges her to step back. When she creates a test, what she is really seeking is trust. And if you can move through these cycles with calmness, you will see that every time she pushes you away, it is not to end things, but to prepare for a deeper bond. Men often make the mistake of thinking love is a straight line, that once a connection is made, it must only move forward. But the truth is more complex. Love has a rhythm, like the ocean. There are moments when the waves rise high, and moments when they pull back. That retreat is not to disappear, but to prepare for an even stronger surge. Each time she withdraws, it is an opportunity for you to show your inner strength. If you chase, you lose your position. If you grow angry, you break her trust. But if you remain calm and steady, you send a powerful message: you are strong enough to be her safe place. And this is what makes her respect you, trust you, and desire you even more. There is a powerful paradox here. You cannot hold on to a woman by trying to control her. You keep her by giving her freedom. When you no longer need to control, you truly keep her. Because then, love is not a chain, it is a choice. And when a woman feels that freedom, she chooses to stay with all her heart. The greatest lesson from being pushed away is your own growth. You learn to face the fear of loss without panic. You learn to trust that love is not measured by constant closeness, but by how you stand firm in moments of distance. You learn not to let her silence erase the voice of your own strength within. So next time she pushes you away, how will you respond? Will you panic, rush to prove yourself, cling tighter? Or will you smile, knowing that her distance is only part of the cycle of testing and trust? If you truly see this, you will realize love is no longer a confusing game of mixed signals. It is a journey that helps you become a stronger and freer version of yourself. And when you become that kind of man, love is no longer something you must hold on to. It becomes something that naturally stays. If this truth has shifted the way you see love, stay with this channel, because there are many more insights, deep, awakening, and life-changing waiting for you in the next videos.